Superman issue 2, Joshua Williamson writing with Jamal Campbell on the art. So we got a parasite story, but parasites multiplying instead of growing stronger.
Yeah, multiplying and parasite zombie type story, which was not expecting. And that's a new version of Parasite. So check those boxes for, how can we do things differently. My only issue with this, I'll start with the negative, then we can move to the positive. I feel like not that there's not enough story, right? But just like in a monthly book, I got to the end and I was expecting more. Just with introduction of new characters, we don't really resolve too much.
It's very issue 2, right? It has a lot of those problems that are common in a lot of those books where the first issue is your big, your showpiece. This is why you're here. And this one slows down. Obviously, there's still a lot of action in this book, but it slows down compared to issue 1. It's not as exciting as issue 1. So it's normal, but it makes it inherently less special.
Yeah, and stopping to introduce a new character as well, with all that. Just that. But the rest of it, right? Like Jamal Campbell's Parasite zombies look great. So, but yeah.
Yeah, we got a big 2-page spread of like all the parasites climbing up a building and whatnot.
I really like the way that's lit by the the heat vision in the background.
Yeah, the red light. It's a very pretty image. And you know what? Credit where credit's due. There's a recap paragraph on the title page, which
Oh, we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, we've been saying DC should have been doing that for a long time. So the last issue set up that it's Lex Luthor's like enemies that are up to no good, and we get this this team of like mad scientists, effectively, who are the ones
Mad Scientist League.
Yes, who are cutting up Bizarro. Did I do that last time? I think I said that last time we were talking about the last issue.
Yeah,
I called him Brainiac. But yeah, cut up Bizarro and Dr. Farm's the one kind of running this show. One of the things that I did like a lot is that when Superman goes to the Supercorp building to try and figure out what's going on or whatever, there's the LCD panel or whatever it is that's got like all the super family, and not the actual super family, but just Superman with a bunch of kids who are all dressed in Superman outfits.
Basically the Supercorp propaganda.
Yeah. So I did like them bringing that back. They set it up last issue, and then this issue used it to show that one of these parasites is draining the energy from it, and it like shows that itself cracking. I thought that was just a nice little thing because it meant more because we'd seen it last issue, this particular screen. So it immediately put us in a place of the same, okay, we know exactly where we are. We know exactly what they're infecting. And obviously Mercy's, fighting them off as best she can.
Hey, robot hands come in handy.
Yeah, and Superman's got his freeze breath. So the whole thing is Lex basically said, hey, you're going to have to come and get me out of the prison, Superman, because I can help. We need to team up. That's what this is all about.
Him being the annoying, like he's like a pop-up ad for Superman, right? And it just cracks me up. I also like the Superman and Mercy interaction where, Superman brings up like, oh yeah, these are Lex's enemies. And she's like, oh, I have no idea what this is. He's like, look, you lie for a living. You work for Lex Luthor. I'm not going to just take this at face value. I do like Superman there,
Yeah, I like, we see the rest of the super family containing the city with the big ice wall to try and stop the parasites from multiplying, because, if they keep going at this rate, they could actually just take over the entire planet by the morning. So we see John, we see Kara, we see the new kids sort of flying around, and John just says, hey, I couldn't get in contact with Mum. And as soon as he says that, you turn the page and the tone of the comic completely changes. It's nighttime, Superman's, got the moon behind him. It's just the dark blues of the Daily Planet entrance. It really sets the tone of like he's worried. What's he going to find when he gets there? So yeah, we get this new character who's got like a kind of would you call it a cowboy hat? I guess I'm thinking more like Mask of Zorro style hat, which I guess is slightly different from a cowboy hat.
They're like a highwayman bandit.
Yeah, that kind of hat. Yeah.
But it's definitely Western inspired. Like you look at her and you're just like, oh, who's this? Who is this? She's
got a black outfit, but the underneath of her cape, like Batman underneath his cape's a different color sometimes than the main part of the cape that you always see.
Yeah.
Here it's like that, but the underneath of the cape is like just light, So it's this blinding light that's coming from the cape.
Her guns are like that as well.
Yeah, the guns are white as well. Yeah,
and then it makes her hat look like a crescent moon almost too.
Yeah.
Like it really strikes an image.
Yeah, so her name is Marilyn Moonlight, and I definitely felt a lot of Moonlight vibes just from her aesthetic. Yeah. So
even the way her cape shapes.
Yeah. So credit where credit's due. Like they nailed the theme of the character with this design, if nothing else.
Yeah.
So yeah, but she kind of like envelops Superman at one point with her powers. Well, exactly what they are remains to be seen. But she also like shines bright. And it's like Superman gets a vision of Metropolis in the past, back in like when it was first being formed in the old Western times.
Yeah, it's like an old Western town, which makes me think that maybe it's not Metropolis.
You think?
Right? As well, yeah. I don't know why he leapt to that being Metropolis.
Well, I
just assumed he was literally saying the same street, but like
but it's also the way that she talks. It sounds like she's been around for a while, so maybe it's she's like this protector of Metropolis. But I don't. No, just knowing what I know about Metropolis and its past, it has more in it's New York, right? So
I mean, do you think what he was seeing here is like her teleporting back to a different time or something like that? Then
I don't think it's either. I think it's a memory because it's from the point of view of someone on a horse, right? Yeah. You can see just the hands. Sure. I think it's probably her memory because she acts like she's a ghost. Right. That I'm not sure she actually is, but I can buy that she's lived a long time.
There's some magic-y things going on because I definitely feel like
I never noticed the hands, which I admit makes it look as a POV. But I read this and thought, oh, this is just the street as it was in like 1880 or something,
I say that now. I guess it can't be her memory because those arms that I'm looking at now are very white.
Oh yeah, this is like a white man's arms. But yeah.
Yeah.
So it's someone that someone has something in common with Superman.
I don't know. I would maybe suspect that, like, maybe it's someone that, like, what if Superman goes back to the past later in this story, and this is like a glimpse of like his future, as it were, or something?
Okay.
Or he's at least, at the very least, he's connecting to someone in the past that he's seen through, like, in this moment.
That's what I'm thinking. Something along those lines. Someone that has something in common with Clark. This kind of white hat style cowboy or something.
Here's an interesting thing. So all the power, most of the power has been drained from him from the parasites. They've drained the power from the city. And he says here that bright light, just as he sees this vision, has recharged him. And he mentions that it's moonlight. How do we feel about the idea that moonlight is charging Superman?
Well, moonlight's just sunlight that's being reflected off the moon. So scientifically.
Matt just nailed it. Okay, fair enough.
It's just a slightly weaker version of sunlight.
Sorry to Neil deGrasse Tyson that, right? Like,
no, it's a good reason. I never thought of that way around. I just kind of took it because she's producing the moonlight on her own. But yes, technically, yes, moonlight is just a reflection of sunlight. That is accurate.
So even if she's creating the moonlight, whatever that radiation is, it's similar to the yellow sun radiation.
It's just a weaker version, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but it gave him. It was the quick bite to eat. When you're starving. It's the guy. It's the guy in the marathon that's eating those little waffle bits.
It was a bit angry, so he had a Snickers. Now he feels like himself.
There you go. So.
All right. So yeah, Alexa's still saying, "Come get me out of the prison," and of course Superman's like, "No, I'm not doing that. Never doing that." Now, obviously, because it's a story, he's eventually going to do it, right? It's going to happen, but he's not doing it yet. The big reveal.
I definitely think that evil doctor, evil mad scientist league is definitely coming for Lex in prison. And Superman's gonna have to get there at some point.
Well, the big reveal, because up until now we just think they're like the parasites are duplicating, but the big reveal that when he finds Lois is that Lois is a parasite. She's changed into a parasite-like being.
And she comes straight for him to drain him. So
that's our big dramatic beat towards the end of the issue, and obviously Super Family's watching on. He uses his vision to like look at her blood and stuff, and it literally looks like little parasites like jumping on her cells.
Well, I just love the idea. It's a parasite virus now. Like that's how it's multiplying.
And, you just see him starting to transform.
That's
he has been infected.
That's the final page. It says, "Hunger, the super parasite," is what we're getting next time.
And they're cracking through that ice wall, as you can see.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I mean, I enjoyed the issue. I thought it was moody, it was atmospheric. I liked, particularly, like, the first half of it was just Superman getting away from the parasites, was just whatever. Once it got to the Supercorp building, though, I thought the atmosphere and the horror of, like, these things coming after them, and then, like, the creepiness of going to the Daily Planet building. I liked all the atmosphere in those segments.
It's not often we get a Superman kind of horror-y story, right? Like, I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Greg Pak in the New 52, one of the few good arcs of Superman in that entire time span.
Yeah. But so, and here, like, looking at the cover with Marilyn Moonlight, it made it look like she's, this is the villain du jour, right? This is what we're doing.
I don't know how I feel about her yet, because there's not really much to go on as a character.
No, but just like, I'm glad that she wasn't just like the villain of the week type. You know, this wasn't the person they were sending after, like...
If it does feel very separate to everything else that's going on right now, doesn't it?
Right. So that was a nice subverting of expectations, for me at least, so...
Yeah. It makes me wonder... It makes me wonder if she's going to stick around, like, after the parasite stuff. Like, she's like a setup for a longer.
That's what it sounded like from the scene.
Because
she's like, "Hey, I'm helping you now because bigger issues, but I'm coming for you."
Yeah. So, but yeah, it definitely doesn't seem like she has anything to do with the supervillain stuff. Yeah. Like, she seems separate from that. So, but yeah, no, I like when they subvert expectations off the cover like that. So.
Yeah. The only thing I'll maybe slightly critique is that at the end of the last issue, when Lex revealed that, we're dealing with my enemies, not yours, I feel like when we actually got a glimpse of these characters in this issue, they feel a bit goofier than I think I was expecting or hoping.
They're not, with the save of Dr. Farm, which is spelled like pharmacy with the PH.
Yeah.
He's super creepy, and he's got a Black Bolt vibe that, like, his brother talks for him, because the last time Dr. Farm talked, No, is it not? Is it not the other way around? It's his brother whispers to him and only him, because if he talks to anyone else, he'll kill them or whatever. Right. Because of what happened to their mother, and it definitely, gave horror movie vibes again. So, and he's wearing like this muzzle type thing, like this leather over his face.
They feel a bit more wacky than I think I was expecting, which is fine, and I'll get into it. But I think last issue I was maybe excited for the prospect of someone who was really malicious in a way that was even scare Lex, but
Well, and I think Dr. Farm could be that, and the rest of them are just along for the ride. I feel like they're the red shirts, if you will. But yeah.
Not using red shirts like he's ever watched Star Trek.
I've seen some Star Trek. Well, it was that I don't want to say they're the Expendables, right? Because I've seen those movies. There's not really an expendable one.
No, not the Expendables, but they are expendable.
Yeah. Right. So.
All right. All right. We ready to rate the book then? Well, we giving Superman issue 2.
I'm gonna give this an 8.5.
Connor.
I forgot how high Matt rates things. I think it would have been a 7, but the art's really good, so I'm going to give it a 7.5.
I think I'm leaning more towards just a straight 8. I think the art's really good for the most part. There is one like proportion thing. There's like a thing in page 2 where he's like sticking out his chest, and I feel like it's just going a bit too far, that his head feels kind of weirdly tacked onto it. But yeah, the art's really good. I like the atmosphere. New characters intriguing enough. Yeah, good time. Yeah, 8 out of 10 for me.